Alrighty, and we're live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another installment of Talking with Talamantes and Titus. It has been a while, but here we are joining you again this evening. Just to give you an overview of what we're going to discuss tonight, we're going to give you some updates on the spring semester, the university budget reduction proposal, and their plan to do program reviews. We'll move into communications from President Talamantes and myself, covering the November Board of Trustees update and a legislation update and Senate update overall.
Great. Well, thank you, Courtney. So the proposal for the spring semester went out yesterday morning to the board. So the Board of Trustees has about a week to look through the proposed plan that President Seidel had showed them. And then next Wednesday, at bright and early at 7 a.m., we're going to be discussing the spring semester proposal and essentially vote on the plan. So it's a bit more solidified. So what I have for you here is just the proposed academic calendar that President Seidel and his team had put together for the spring semester. And so, as you can see, the spring semester does start a bit earlier than anticipated, but that is because there has been some additional days added into the spring semester for students, faculty, and staff to just get a break from everything. If you all do recall from, I think, the beginning of this semester, there was some talks about there not being spring break just to shorten the spring semester and have it all be on all online delivery. However, because it's been about 4 months, that plan has changed. And so this is what the proposed academic calendar looks like, where students will begin online learning on the 14th of January. So that is a week before, about a week before the original start date. And so the limited contact period is for students who will be doing face-to-face classes on Monday, the 25th. However, they will want students to shelter in place, make sure that they are staying inside their homes for a couple of days before they get onto campus. They want to make sure that students who are coming back to Laramie have a negative COVID test, and the students that do come on campus also have a negative COVID test as well, which is why the early start of the semester will be delivered online. And so on January 25th is when those face-to-face classes begin. And so if you do notice, we do have some additional breaks in here with President's Day, our spring break, instead of being the full break that we have. It's just going to be 3 days off plus the weekend. And then if you also notice that after spring break is when face-to-face classes will cease and we'll just move all online to an online delivery. And then the 7th of May will be that study day right before everyone gets into their final exams. Courtney, if you can go to the next slide, please. I do want to emphasize to you all that this is a proposal. So things can change from the time that we're talking about it now to the time that the board votes on it on Wednesday or next Wednesday. And so there's a couple of similarities and differences between the plan for the spring as there was in the fall. So we'll still see a mix of in-person and online classes for students. If they are wanting to stay in Laramie and have an in-person class, they will have the opportunity to do that. And I think the other most important piece as well is that the comprehensive testing, surveillance testing is still something that's going to be occurring. Undergraduate students will still be expected to test twice a week. Graduate students and employees will be expected to test once a week. And so some of the differences that we can see between the spring semester plan and the fall semester plan is that this semester, there's going to be an increase of focus on compliance from student affairs and other folks at the university, as well as an emphasis on the use of the COVID Pass app. I think, despite some of the marketing that we have also done for it, it was maybe one of those things that kind of just got lost in translation with the busyness of the fall semester. However, if you are a student that is planning on coming onto campus, whether that be you're working or you're going to your in-person class, there's going to be an increased emphasis that you use the COVID Pass to make sure that you are a student who is coming to campus and that you're not bringing the virus in. Collaborating with our state and community on COVID guidelines is also something that's changed and a bit more emphasized in the spring plan as it was in the fall. now that the university kind of has its footing with the surveillance testing and everything kind of being in place. I mean, we completed our first weird hybrid semester, and so the university has a bit more footing now to wanting to work more with the state and the community on particular COVID guidelines. And so I think the last major change, which is something that is a bit related to ASUW and something that we would like to tackle during the J term, is collaborating with Cecil on student support and other kinds of engagement opportunities available for students in person and online in the spring semester. And so the process moving forward with this, I know it's a bit strange, but because this is such an important plan for the university moving forward, the board decided that yesterday morning that they would hear the proposal from President Seidel, but they did schedule a separate special meeting, which will be happening on Wednesday, November 16th at 7 a.m. And this is when, for those 3 hours, the board is going to be discussing the proposal, any kind of questions or concerns that they may have. And I just do want to emphasize that the proposal and the academic calendar that I did show you on the previous slide do have the possibility of changing during that time. And so just due to amendments that the board can make, if there are any concerns, they can find a way to dispel those by making some sort of change. But if there are changes that do come to the spring 2021 plan, the UW communications team will be sending out a UW communication that outlines the new academic calendar, the one that is approved for, so that, you know, if you're a student who may not have registered for class yet because you don't know what the semester is going to look like, next Wednesday is when we should have a definitive answer. And so this is a public meeting, and I highly encourage you all to watch this via YOcast, and those links are also available on the board's website. And so our next topic of discussion is also something that had happened at the previous board meeting, which was the budget reduction proposal. This was approved by the board in November, and I highly encourage you all to read this information. I know it's a bit weird that I put a link down there, but President Seidel's proposal that he showed to the board in a document that is about 100 pages long that we went through, it highlights a bunch of different line items as to where in certain colleges where things are getting cut, all the way down from what faculty positions won't be available, what staff positions are getting cut. So this document is something that can be found in this UW communication from November 12th. If you're able to Google it, you can use these keywords and the proposal should come up. But I highly encourage you all to read it because it can give you a good idea and a sense as to how the budget reductions will essentially affect each college. So that's all that I have for the budget reduction proposal, but I do encourage you all to take some time to look at this document, read through it, and if you do have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them in an email or whatnot. And so something that had also came of the budget reductions, I think, is the most important piece is the program reviews. So a variety of programs have been up on the chopping block. And so the president, the budget reduction working group have picked out particular programs that they are considering to eliminate or consolidate in order to save a good amount of money for the university. So these programs that have been chosen are ones that have had low enrollment in the past, lower graduation rates compared to other programs. They may not be as productive in the research side or the programming piece for the university. And some cases, there also may not be enough faculty members within that program, or there are faculty members who are kind of going in and out of that program, which is why a variety of programs are going to be up for review for that elimination and consolidation. And so ASUW has the opportunity to participate in those program reviews. So we have a number of ASUW representatives as well as students at large. So these are just fee-paying students who will be participating in those program reviews next month. And so if you all have any thoughts about the program reviews, maybe you don't want to participate in some of these because it's too time consuming, or you feel passionately about a particular program at the university that is up on the chopping block, I highly encourage you all to send an email to the following people I've listed here: the board, Ann Alexander, who is our interim provost, who's co-chairing the budget reduction group, and President Seidel. Anytime that someone sends an email to the board and it's distributed to the board, every member reads it, including the ex officios, myself. But this just means that the people at the top have the ability to hear your voice and really read from another student's perspective. We do get emails quite frequently, sometimes about other topics of discussion that are happening at the board. But if you do all feel very strongly about a particular program that you don't want to see go, or you feel has been very successful at recruiting just great people at the university, highly encourage you all to send an email so that there is a documented perspective from students as to why a particular program shouldn't get cut or consolidated.
Yeah, I could not agree more with President Talamantes. Definitely make sure your voices are heard during this, stressful time of budget reductions and budget cuts. And I just needed to get my PowerPoint pulled back up.
And so I believe that's all we have on our agenda for just some major discussion items. So for my report and communication for you all this week, I will just be giving you an update from the meeting that happened at the Board of Trustees in the middle of November. And so a couple of things had gone down. We had heard a report from Tammy Benham Deal and Philip Willie, who are heads of the COVID team at the university. And so they updated the board on UW's surveillance testing program and the comprehensive contact tracing team that they have set up. And in this report, they had identified just their confidence in being able to pull off compliance and surveillance testing, as well as making sure that students who have been in contact with a COVID case, a positive COVID case, are contacted by the UW contact tracing team. So some good updates that were happening on that front. Aside from that, the budget reduction proposal was approved, and kind of all the talk of the board meeting, we had gone through President Seidel's very large proposal that I had spoke about earlier, and just looked through the various line items to see how each budget line item would affect each college. And ultimately, the plan was approved to move forward with some of those particular cuts. I think another large thing that impacts students that happened at this board meeting was that there was an approval of a 6% tuition increase for the following academic year, so 2021 through 2022. There is a Board of Trustees policy that says that the board has to look at an annual increase in tuition. And so this approval was done in that manner. There was some discussion, though, in the budget committee just about a worry of students and their financial impact just due to COVID. And so I think one of the main reasons that this tuition increase was approved was because the university is going through a budget reduction that is happening from the state. A lot of board members had cited that they just want to make it look like that the university is trying to generate revenue on its own, and kind of show the state of Wyoming that we're looking at other ways of supplementing parts of the budget that were cut because of that subsequent budget cut. And so that approval will be going forward and be affecting students for the following year. We also heard some updates from several other committees aside from the budget committee. So we heard some updates from the academic and student affairs committee, and we heard a proposal from UW Casper Dean, Dr. Brent Pickett, about a new concentration for the Bachelor's of Applied Sciences, which would be Health Science Administration. He proposed a bunch of different research from some of our peer and stretch peer institutions that indicated that this was a popular concentration for students who wanted their BAS at other institutions. It also doesn't cost the university much, if any money, just due to the fact that a lot of the classes in health science administration can be cross-listed with other courses, and some of those other professors can teach within the health science administration. So that's also something that's moving forward in the next academic year that is pretty exciting, especially for students who are in the College of Health Sciences. And lastly, we heard an update from the facilities committee and got some progress on the new residence halls. YO Hall, I'm sure you all have noticed, is in the middle of a construction, and it will be demolished soon. And so it can make way for the new residence halls. And so, aside from just hearing a short blip on the progress on the new residence halls, we also heard a proposal from the Dean of College of Education for the changes to the lab school. And so this was a proposal to create structural changes to the lab school, whether that be moving the lab school elsewhere in the city of Laramie or just building upon it. But we did hear this proposal. There wasn't any item of action for it, but rather this was something that the College of Education was looking forward to putting on before the pandemic had kind of hit the university along with budget cuts. And so they were just looking for some feedback from the committee before they went to the state legislature this month to talk to them about other avenues of funding so that the lab school can be expanded to increase opportunities for students in the College of Education and getting that in-person learning, but also for the young students who are taking classes over there and just getting a larger building with new people in it.
All right, thank you, Riley, for your updates. I have a couple updates for you all as well. It's been a while since we've chatted with y'all, so we have quite a bit of legislation that we've passed. I've only noted details under the ones that are really pertinent, as we've just been busy amending our working documents, and it's not always the most interesting. We did remove our special elections process, and we changed it to an application and confirmation process. That makes the process a bit speedier for folks to fill vacancies in the Senate, so I'm really excited to see that got passed. We did reduce our budget to offset AHW's current deficit because AHW is not immune to the budget reductions and decrease in enrollment. We are happy to make some budget cuts internally as well. We made recommendations on the proposed mandatory student fee increases and programmatic fee increases. We approved almost all of the requests for increases, but I'll talk more in detail about that in just a moment. Through special projects this year, we allocated a total of $100,000 to various projects across campus. Some of those include expanding the cost-free menstrual product program, funding the Office of Disability Support Services, the outdoor program, and more. And then we also passed 2 resolutions supporting DACA students and recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day. So moving on to just some fun Senate updates, we had 2 student at-larges of the month. Caitlin McLennan, who's a leader in the Sustainability Coalition, which is a strategic partner of AHW. She's also a leader of the Food Security Task Force. And then for November, we had Carlos Gonzalez, who is a UMC co-chair for several years. We won't be meeting over winter break. Our next meeting right now is scheduled for January 26th. That might need to change depending on the academic calendar changing, but we will not be in session at all over winter break. So if you want to get involved over winter break or even before the spring semester, you still can. There's lots of committees to sit on, other ways to be involved. So definitely shoot me an email and we can get you placed on a committee. So just some more student fees and tuition updates as promised. As President Talamantes mentioned, we did submit recommendations to the president and the board before they approved the 6% increase. Our recommendations were supporting a 4% increase while also expressing concern about rising tuition costs. Nevertheless, the board did approve a 6% increase. As far as our recommendations go for student fees, we passed legislation through the Senate that will be passed on to the president and the board for their consideration. The final vote on that will take place in January. AHW did recommend to approve all of the requested increases in full. Besides the Honors College, we reduced that some. The CSS fee, reduced that as well. And the Student Success fee, we reduced that as well. So if our recommendations do go through and get approved as we hope, the financial impact to students in the upcoming academic year will be minimal due to their increased fees. And then finally, we have student success priorities. The legislation was passed and it is now in the hands of the president and the board for their consideration. AHW will continue working towards these priorities and making it a priority of our organization to serve student needs in the best manner possible. If you want more information on the AHW Tuition Allocation and Student Fee Review Committee, visit our website or email me. In the spring semester, we're going to be doing a couple audits and surveys to identify if student fees are being put to good use and being used effectively, and if there are any new fees that we should be exploring that students would like to see their money go towards. So if there's something on campus that you see is lacking, if you'd like to improve recycling or sustainability efforts, or something else that you think student fee money should be going towards, definitely reach out to me and get involved in the committee. So that just about concludes our updates. So we'll open it up to open forum if anybody has a question before I kick it off with some that we received prior to this. All right. So we did receive a question on Instagram. Probably a good question for you, President Talamantes. Someone asked, how will we know if our class will meet in person next semester?
Yes. So on YO courses, it should indicate in the class modality if it is hybrid flex slash hybrid in person. However, I can understand that there are some professors who haven't changed their modality just because they're also waiting on the proposal to see what the academic calendar would look like. So I would say hang tight until we're done with the meeting on the 16th and that plan is approved. And in YOWeb, it should be able to tell you whether those classes are in person or if they are online.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, so I'll put out a last call for questions. If we have any last minute questions coming in on Facebook or Instagram or within the Zoom meeting. All right. Well, as always, stay in touch with ACW, follow us on social media. We'll always make sure that you have the best information and the most accurate information that you need to make decisions on campus and to be an informed student. Always reach out to us if you have questions or concerns. And yeah, just let us know what you're thinking and how your semester is going. And we wish you all luck on the rest of your finals. And we hope you have a successful spring semester.